Description to get today's free, long, wonderful, important PDF worksheet plus bonus speaking practice. All right, let's learn some important daily life vocabulary that I used when I was talking about the laundry, but a lot of these phrases can be used in other circumstances as well. Let's watch. Let's get started with our 10 important phrases that I use every day. Plus, there is a bonus phrase at the end that includes a very important difference between American English and British English. I made this mistake with British English many years ago, and I don't want you to make that mistake. So wait till the end of this lesson and I will tell you exactly how to avoid the mistake that I made. Everyday English phrase number 1 is inside out. This shirt that you have probably seen me wear in my English lessons is inside out. This is a fixed phrase and you will never hear it any other way. So it is a great one to memorize. This shirt is inside out. Now, this was a phrase that I used in my recent video where I was showing you the laundry and folding clothes. So what we're going to do is you're going to see the original clip from that conversation and how I used it. This is another way that will help you remember it because you are seeing it in various contexts. And then, of course, I hope you will be repeating these sentences with me in the free downloadable audio as well. So let's see the original clip so that you can see how inside out was used. Let's watch. First, if a shirt is inside out, like this one was, I have to turn it right side out. Isn't that kind of a strange expression? Everyday expression number 2 is, what do I do now? I need to turn this shirt right side out. Right side out. Both of these phrases use the word out. Inside out and right side out. This is a great fixed phrase to use, and you can turn any piece of clothing right side out. You can even turn a pillowcase right side out. When I make my bed, I turn the pillowcase right side out before putting it on my pillow. All right, let's watch how that was used in the original context. Usually for my kids, because they're small, they're young, they can turn their clothes right side out. But I think if I do it while I'm doing the laundry, it kind of saves some hassle. English phrase that I use every day, number 3, is comfy. Comfy. This sweater is so comfy, I wear it almost every day in the fall. It's true, I was wearing it before I filmed this lesson. And what does the word comfy mean? You can probably guess. It is a shortened version of the word comfortable. Notice the pronunciation of this full word. Comfortable. Comfortable. But good news, we often shorten this word and just say comfy. Comfy. So lots of things can be comfy. Clothes can be comfy. Maybe even a house can be comfy. If it is a comfortable place to relax and spend time, oh, what a comfy house you have. This is simply a shortened way to say comfortable. All right, let's see how I used it in that original context. These are really comfortable pants, and my oldest son refuses to wear anything else except for sweatpants. Whatever, I don't really care. It's comfy. English phrase that I use every day, number 4, is to clean up a mess. I use this one probably 10 times a day. And here we're talking about when something is spilled on the ground. What do you need to do? Well, you need to clean up a mess. And for me, as a mother, I need to clean up a lot of messes, but I also need to teach my children to clean up their own messes. When they spill something, they need to learn to clean up their own messes. So you see there's a little bit of grammatical flexibility here. We could say clean up a mess, or I need to clean up my mess. You need to clean up your own mess. It's true. All right, let's see how this was used in the original context. I use it sometimes to dry dishes or clean up messes. I have a lot of messes around my house. Someone is always spilling something. Important everyday English phrase number 5 is father figure. Now, when I talked about this in the original context, it was in a little bit of a joke, but when we use this in everyday life, we're talking about an important man who was a role model for you. This is not your real father. This is someone who is like a father to you. You looked up to them. So for a lot of people, it might be your basketball coach, your baseball coach, or maybe a teacher in your life. There is not a specific father figure in my life beside my real father, but I want to give you an example about my current life. My husband, Dan, is like a father figure for some of his students. Some of his students don't have a father who is present in their life. So my husband, Dan, is an important male role model for them. Whether or not they realize it at the moment, he is someone who they look up to and someone who is an important man in their life. He is a father figure to many of his students. All right, let's see how this was used in the original context. And I used it a bit like a joke. It's on a t-shirt. So if you want to get the full context for that, you're welcome to watch the original video where I folded the laundry and talked about it along the way. All right, let's watch. Oh, you have to see this shirt. This is one of Dan's t-shirts that I got him. It says, "It's not a dad bod, it's a father figure." Important everyday English phrase number 6 is in charge of. I love learning phrases like this because when you learn them together, it's easier than remembering grammatical rules like when do I use of? Prepositions, what are the rules? No, you just remember the full phrase, in charge of. I am in charge of folding the laundry in my house. Next week, my children will be in charge of checking my neighbor's mail because my neighbors will be on vacation. It is their job to check her mail, so they are in charge of the mail. All right, let's see how this was originally used in the context of doing chores at home, and we'll see. Let's watch. Now, Dan, my husband, he is in charge of dishes. So he does dishes every night, and I do laundry, I don't know, every couple days. Important everyday English phrase number 7 is kind of a long one, so stick with me. It is to get in the habit of doing something. To get in the habit of doing something. For you, you're learning English, and I want you to get in the habit of learning English every day. What does that mean? It means you need to have the habit, you need to have the daily routine of waking up and listening to English music, listening to an English podcast while you're driving to work, watching my English lessons while you're having a coffee break. This is the routine of English. And notice the grammatical structure here. When you get in the habit of learning English, that last part needs to have an ing word, learning English. I want to get into the habit of walking every day after dinner. I want to get in the habit of learning English every day. Make sure that you have that final part grammatically correct. All right, let's watch how this was used in the original context. I know it's not good for energy and for the environment, but we use them all the time. And I think when you get in the habit of using a dryer, it's hard to break that habit, right? Important everyday phrase number 8 is to look back fondly. The key word here is fondly. This means with some happiness, maybe some nostalgia. It's a little bit bittersweet because we're thinking about a good time in the past. We are looking back fondly on something that happened. So let me give you a little situation of something that often happens in my house. When my mother-in-law comes to visit my house and my kids are making a mess, as I talked about before, and maybe it is the 3rd or 4th mess that they have made that day. I might be a little frustrated. Now I have to clean up another mess. What can I do? And she says, I remember when my kids did that. Let me help you. So here she is looking back fondly on something that was probably difficult at the moment. It's difficult to constantly be cleaning up messes for children, but when you are a grandparent, you can think about the past in kind of a more happy way, possibly. It's not that it's not a happy life at the moment, but sometimes those difficult times don't seem too happy, right? So my mother-in-law can look back fondly on all of the things that she had to do in order to raise her kids. And we can do that as well. We can look back fondly on our childhood, and in the future, maybe we'll look back fondly on today. Who knows? All right, let's see how this was used in the original context. Sometimes kids find the strangest things to have fun with, so I leave it. And I'm sure someday when my kids are grown, I'll look back fondly on those silly things. All right, what have we got left? All right, we're almost at our bonus word. It is coming soon, but first let's get to number 9, the 9th important daily life English expression that we use all the time, and that is ideally. So here we have the root word ideal. This is almost talking about perfection. Is perfection possible? Absolutely not. But when we are making plans or dreams, we sometimes think about perfection. This is what I would love to have happen. So for me, in my house, ideally, I will have dinner prepared before my children come home from school. This way, when they're at home, I can just spend time with them and I don't need to think about cooking. Do you think this really happens? Not very often. That's a lot of prep work. It's a lot of organization, and sometimes I just don't feel like it. So I use the word ideally. In my dream world, this would happen. Ideally, I would be totally prepared when my children come home, and I could just spend time with them. I wouldn't need to be cooking. But this is kind of in a dream world, an ideal world, this perfect world that we don't live in. It's just an ideal. All right, let's see how this phrase was used in the original context.